The magic island of Euclidia, over 4,000 miles from Los Angeles, has been the scene of many a strange experience for our friends of Mrs. Gregory's little party. Now they are once more ready to land on this artificial island, ruled by G-47 and his scientists. The small boat bearing Mrs. Gregory, Captain Bradford, Jerry Hall, and Joan Gregory is within half a mile of Euclidia. Jerry and Joan are standing at the bow looking for the island, while Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford are busy with preparations for their landing.
Well, Joan, we'll soon be on that magic island again.
I am not happy about that, Jerry.
Well, you ought to be. This is where your mother and Captain Bradford wanted to be.
They are very foolish, and they are on a hopeless errand.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. Tex Bradford thinks he can take over this island, and I'll bet he'll do it, too.
Jerry, you must realize that such a statement is not at all logical.
Huh? Well, what's wrong with it?
What is moving this boat toward Euclidia at this moment?
Why, that Euclidean submarine that's towing us, of course.
Exactly. If it were not for one of the machines developed on the island the captain expects to take over, he could not even reach the island.
Well, it wasn't Tex's fault that we had a Euclidean on board, was it? Could he help it if the sweet engineer turned out to be Thales?
Thales was clever in arranging to be on the boat, was he not?
Well, he wasn't clever enough to keep from getting caught when he wrecked our motors, though.
Perhaps he did not object to his capture after the motors were out of commission.
Well, maybe not. But he didn't look very happy when that girl commander took him on her submarine.
That was indeed something he did not expect.
And he'll get a lot more he didn't expect when old G-47 gets his hands on him.
No, I think Thales must know that he will be punished. Personal revenge is not allowed on Euclidia, and Thales was seeking revenge because the captain had recorded his voice.
Yeah. Hey, what will G-47 do to him?
That remains to be seen.
I say, here comes our Chinese cook. And boy, is he in a hurry.
He is a strange man.
Yeah. It's getting so I don't know anybody but strange people. Well, what's up, Jim?
Captain Bradford say come tell you we're near island.
No, well, we know that. We can see it from here.
The eye is blind to strange sights.
Look over there, Mr. Lowe. Almost dead ahead.
Jim, look. No see island.
Oh, you see a bank of gray fog or clouds lying there in the water, don't you?
Oh, sure. See foggy cloud on water.
The island is surrounded by that fog.
Island inside cloud?
Yep, island inside cloud.
That would seem very dangerous place for island. Steamship run through cloud, go smash on island. Too bad.
But on this island, steamships are not allowed to go smash. They go around.
Very good idea, if all steamships know that.
Well, they can't help but know it, Jim. This is a magic island, and ships can't run over it, even when they want to.
Jim Lowe believe magic when Jim Lowe see magic. You come now. Captain Bradford wants to see you in radio room right away.
Okay, Jim. We'll come.
We should hurry if the captain wants us.
Yeah. You know, we're nearly on top of that island. Hey, but Joan, did you notice that we're not moving as fast as we were?
That is obvious, Jerry. The submarine commander has dropped our anchor from her magnets. We are slowly drifting toward Euclidia.
Well, I don't like to drift around in this corner of the ocean. I wish they'd send that magnetism out from the island and pull us in.
Jerry, will you go to the radio cabin as the captain requested?
Oh, sure. Come on. I wonder what he wants.
As it is only a matter of minutes until we land on the island, I should think it would have to do with the captain's final plans as to what each of us is expected to do after we land.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Tex hasn't told us anything about his plans.
I am afraid he may find it difficult to execute a plan.
Oh, don't worry so much about the captain. He knows what he's doing.
Undoubtedly. And the Euclideans also know what he is doing.
Oh, well, I didn't mean it that way.
Then say what you do mean.
All right, all right. Now forget it for a minute. We'll go in and see what Tex has to say.
Interlocking devices with your boat.
Gee, Tex.
Quiet, kid.
You will be placed at your pier by the magnetic devices as before.
I understand that, Commander. Anything further?
Very little. You have a definite mission to perform on the island. You cannot hope to do it in secrecy. Therefore, you will find your position more tolerable if you request an audience with G-47 when you land.
I'll do that all right. That's what I came down here for.
Your reason for coming here is known to the Euclideans as well as to your own party. I have dropped your anchor from my stern magnetic fin. I will now proceed to my sub-level anchorage. You will be drawn in. That is all.
Oh, hold on a minute, Commander. When are we going to see you?
That is all.
Now, come in, Jerry.
May I come in also, Captain?
Hey, what's going on, Tex?
Just a minute, Jerry. Why, of course you may come in, Joan, but your mother's waiting for you in your cabin. Perhaps you'd better run along and see what she wants.
To be sure, Captain. I will go at once.
Close the door and come over here, Jerry.
Right. Well, what's the matter, Tex? They can't hear us talking on Euclidia, can they?
No danger of that, but I don't want Joan or her mother to hear this.
Gee, is something wrong?
Yes, but I can't tell what it is because everything sounds all right.
Well, that sounds funny.
I know it, but it isn't.
Well, come on, tell me.
I'm very much afraid the G-47 has some carefully laid plans for us, Jerry.
Oh, sure he has. That old guy probably got a lot of swell tricks thought up for us after we escaped from his island and left him flat twice.
It's more than that. I'm sure of it. G-47 must have learned more about us than we think he knows.
Well, did the girl commander tell you something over the radio just now?
She couldn't tell me much, as it's a cinch they'd be listening in on the island. But she said enough to let me know that things are going to be made entirely too easy for us on Euclidia.
Gosh, that won't be hard to take.
Jerry, we know that we're going to land on that island and stay there a while in the hope of finding some way to break up this scientific group before they start out to run the world from Euclidia.
And those Euclideans know it, too. You know, they're too smart to think we came 4,000 miles to get no place, just for the ride.
Right. Now, I had expected we would be confined as prisoners. While we wouldn't be in any immediate danger, yet it would present something of a problem for us to get free for an inspection of the island.
Well, if they're not going to do that to us, what is it?
They're going to give us living quarters, the same as anyone else on Euclidia, and leave us alone.
What?
It amazed me, too. That girl sub-commander said we would be taken from our boat to our quarters in a short time, and to stay on the boat until ordered to leave it. But we are to have the freedom of the island as soon as I talk to G-47.
The freedom of the island? After they kept us locked up here so tight before?
And part of it's reasonable enough. We were trying to escape then. This time we've come to stay until our job is done, and they're not afraid of our running away.
But what about all the things you brought with you?
Jerry, that's what I wanted to tell you. Tell you before we land on the island, as we may never again have a moment's privacy. I didn't bring a thing with me.
But, Tex, your formula.
Not even that.
Well, gee, I suppose you know what you're doing, but I thought you had a lot of apparatus to use on these Euclideans.
And I want them to think the same thing. That way they'll waste a lot of valuable time studying all the materials I brought along, and it won't get them anywhere.
But can you do anything? I mean, can you do anything about taking this island over and getting us back home with a lot of special stuff to work with?
Absolutely. I know my formula for the universal solvent. I only had it written down in one place, in a safety deposit box in Los Angeles. And I destroyed that when we were home. The only place in the world that formula can be found is in my head.
But what about materials to make the real formula with?
They have everything I need right here on Euclidia. Now, don't tell that to Pat and Joan until I tell you to. They might worry about it.
Yeah, they might.
And act as if everything was steady now.
Yeah.
Here they are. Come in.
We got ready as quickly as possible, Tex.
Plenty of time. They're going to pull us into the island with those magnets again.
Did you see how close we were when you came along the deck?
We are entering the artificial fog banks now.
That would mean just outside the ends of the piers.
And only about 200 feet to go, and we'll be on the magic island once more.
I can't hear the water rippling around the boat anymore. We must be inside the fog ring now.
That would be the case, Mother.
Were you able to contact that girl submarine commander who told us in, Tex?
Just had her on the radio. She advised us to stay on our boat until I talked with G-47. Said that quarters would be prepared for us in the general living apartments, and that we were to remain unmolested.
Well, that's rather a unique reception from a colony that understands your purpose so well.
I think it rather natural, Mother. G-47 and all his assistants are fully aware of our purpose, and they're as anxious to see the captain's formula working as we are.
I think that's it, Joan. They want me to have a chance to complete my work as soon as possible, and then find out if I can show them anything they don't know.
There's no danger of their getting your formula?
Not a chance.
Well, how about the materials you brought along? Can you keep the Euclideans from taking those?
I'll do my best.
Our best wasn't any too good when we were here before.
Oh, cheer up, Mrs. Gregory. We were running away before. Hey, look out the door. There's the island.
So it is, Jerry.
That pier looks just like it did when we first landed here.
It is now daylight, Captain. When you first landed here, the Euclideans were using their artificial daylight.
Your memory is better than ours, Joan. Oh, Jerry, do you remember how frightened we were when someone placed those glasses in our hands?
Remember it? Boy, I can still shake every time I think of it.
Well, those tricks won't frighten us again. Ultraviolet light is something we also know a little about.
Well, let's go out on deck and see what we can see.
We were advised to stay on the boat.
Well, nobody said we couldn't look at the island.
I see no harm in it.
Not a bit. Let's all go out.
Look, Mrs. Gregory, we're at the same pier we were before.
Yes, twice before. We've lost 2 boats at this pier.
And the chances are we'll lose this one.
I think it highly probable.
Hey, Joan, do you know what they do with all the boats that get lost around this part of the ocean?
I have heard several accounts of their disposition, but I believe we will see many of them before we leave Euclidia again. If we ever leave it.
Now, there you go again with that if we ever leave it stuff.
Well, don't worry, Joan. We'll get away this time. We know what we're getting into, and we're well prepared for it.
Well prepared for it? For what?
Well, for anything.
Anything. Anything may happen to us here.
Yeah, when you get near this island, well, you can feel it all over again. That sort of empty, lost feeling.
A few short months ago, I could not have understood that feeling. Perhaps I understood no feeling. And surely I had no fear of the only home I knew. But now I believe I can understand what you mean.
It's a strange feeling. That shining circle of steel, 600 feet across, with those radio and defense rooms rising out of it like huge streamlined one-story houses, and not a sound. Knowing there are over 200 people inside that giant steel tube, living their lives without contact with our world. I'm not sure I'm glad we came.
Well, I know how you feel, but we had a job to do, and, well, this was the only way to do it.
Well, I wouldn't have come back or brought any of you here if I hadn't felt that this was our only sure way to protect each other. Jerry and Joan certainly weren't safe at home with Thales and those other Euclideans in Los Angeles. At least we have a common chance here.
I am not afraid, Captain, but it all seems very hopeless.
That's my feeling, Joan. No matter how gallant an effort we make, will we accomplish anything?
Well, it's worth trying, and after all, we didn't have much choice.
We sure didn't. But I wonder how many choices they're going to give us here.
Not many, I think.
Well, the boat stopped moving. We're here.
Yes, we're here.
Well, how's it feel to get back home, Joan?
Home? I hoped I would never see this place again.